thank you very much for the invitation. Ja mieszkałam kiedyś tutaj w Warszawie, ale to już 15 lat temu, so I will speak in English because this is so much easier for me. I am from Berlin, or I live in Berlin. I work as a film producer for documentary films, and I brought a project here with me today, which is barely finished. So I mean, it is finished, but it's very fresh still that it's online. And it's an interactive documentary film about a very special place in Berlin that we worked on with filmmakers, with interactive storytellers, and a software developer. The title of my presentation is When Asphalt Keeps Silent, Stories Are Needed, because I know that one of the subtopics of this conference is also storytelling versus truth. And we are very much in favor of stories of Field Trip. Our whole project is about stories. And why do we think stories are so important? Well, first they create an audience, and when you are an artist who wants to go into dialogue with the world and with the people out there, you need the audience, otherwise you can spare yourself the work in the first place. Then stories are a way to make the world tangible and discussable, and of course they're also a beautiful art form. And in our place, they also gave voice to something that cannot speak, which is the asphalt. The asphalt of this place, I don't know who of you recognize it or have ever been there. It's the Tempelhofer Feld in Berlin. It's a former airport, which has been closed more than 10 years ago as an airport and is open to the public. So people go there for a Sunday stroll, for roller skating, for barbecuing, because the citizens of Berlin thought that this place should stay open and there should be nothing built on it. So why do we think it's important to collect the stories of the asphalt? I mean, we could just say, well, we have a great big field now for barbecuing. I mean, that's amazing, so why should we remember anything that happened there? We think it's important because it has been a silent witness to decades of political and social development. And so you see the question marks for the future, and we just don't know what's going to happen there, what's going to happen there in the future. And we think since it has been such a mirror to society and such a mirror to what has happened globally, locally, politically, socially, it is so important to remember that, to see who was in charge, because it's such a symbol of who is in charge. And the public might be in charge now, but we just don't think it will stay this way. We just think there's so much going on in this world that the openness and the freedom of this field might not be its future forever. And we thought by collecting the stories of the past and the present, people might anticipate the future. So it can help us to look at the stories from the past and the present to anticipate the future and to realize that history is not something that just happens, but something that is created. And then we can start shaping the future through learning. So how did we tackle this whole goal of interactivity and participation? Well, first we did not focus on just one story of the field because there are so many. We dove into the collective memory of stories. We collected 14 stories, or we presented 14 stories so far of 80 years, so of 8 decades, and they present very, very different realities and memories of the field. And there's not one above the other, but there's no hierarchy. They're interactively linked. And you can kind of make your own way through them. So by the stories meeting, there are kind of stories created within the stories. You make your own stories out of it. And we tackled this even further by creating a phone number where people could call and leave their own story of the field. And from these audio messages we got, we created a whole episode. It's called the Storybox episode, and it's inside the film. And we also put a phone booth, an old phone booth, on the field, and brought the stories there back to the field so that people could also listen to the stories and be encouraged to call again on the field. And also we worked with the software is open source that we used, and the film material we shot, we licensed as much as possible under Creative Commons licenses so that people can reuse the material. Now I would like to show you just quickly how it looks. We don't have much time, so I ask to go to the website, please. And now I have to navigate with this little mouse. Oh, okay, I don't see it on the screen. Okay. So this is kind of the overview. This is where you land after you have typed in the URL and watched a little intro film. And you might recognize the shape of the field. And you can see these 14 little figures representing kind of the stories that are that we collected. And when you click on them, you can see how they are called. And then you can decide if you want to dive inside and with which story to start. And you can always go back to this overview for orientation, but you can also just stay inside the stories if you want to lose yourself in the stories. And there are always 2 to 3 possibilities to jump from one story into the other through animations. But it works very intuitively, and I will show you one transition. I will start with this guy. He's a Turkish film director who exiled himself to Berlin after the Gezi protests. So his part, he talks about citizen protest in his whole episode. And I will just jump around so I show you the piece, the transition that I want to show you.
Hadi canım. Tempelhofer Havaalanı'nda desin ona.
Vay arkadaş.
Ben de bir konuşayım
Ya çok enteresan.
Babayı defnettikten sonra ben dışarıya çıktım. İşte hapis cezası falan geldi. Onay bilmem ne. Birkaç dava daha. Sen de zaten çok iyi kendi cephenden bildiğin süreçler. Bir de çalışamıyorum orada, çalıştırmıyorlar falan. İşte ondan dışarıya çıktım. Ben artık buralardayım. Şimdilik buralardayım. Oralarda polis kovuşturmaları bilmem neleri de devam ediyor. O yüzden gelmiyorum da, gelemiyorum yani daha doğrusu.
Tu jest zagęszczenie dopiero. Tutaj. Tu jest dużo osób, bardzo. I taki samochód jest. Widocznie nie ma do...
Ale też, no wiesz, śmietniki, wiesz, i też jedzenie przy tym jakoś to tak też trochę i pasuje i nie, no.
All right, so we go back to the presentation, please. Of course, her story is much more than that. I just showed you one transition, and I welcome you very much to explore it at home. So how much is Field Trip an archive? I would call it an intuitive archive because all the software it is based on was invented to journey through a topic, to explore a topic, to discover maybe something you weren't looking for in the first place. And of course, Field Trip is mainly created as an artwork. We have worked with more than 20 artists like illustrators and historical researchers on it for years. So in a way, it's a very, very open project because people could call and tell their stories. You can reuse our material. But what you could see now here is a very curated project. So even if there are different looks of material inside the project, we chose where to put. And it's more like saying, hey, this is what we did. This is what we created. Now go take it and play with it and get into dialogue with us. So I would say, so first you can watch it at home. It's with English subtitles, and there's a Polish version, which is very new now. I thank the Adam Mickiewicz Institute for the translation. They financed the Polish subtitles and also the German-Polish collaboration, the Foundation for German-Polish Collaboration. And so what I want to say is, I think a story is never the last word on anything. I think the stories are just the start to start discuss. I mean, there can be contra projects, there can be spin-offs, there can be reuse of material. So I think the story is more or less more the start. And I would like to play an audio now that I recorded yesterday. I visited Halina in Łódź yesterday. She is the woman you saw in the rickshaw. And I asked her about truth, because she's 90 years old. She was, when she was 14, she was taken to Germany for forced labor. It was her first time on the Tempelhofer Feld since 1945, when you saw her image in the video. And I went to her yesterday, I visited her, and I asked her what she thinks about truth in general. Okay. Oh, and it's in Polish, so the Polish speakers should take off their headphones and the English speakers should take it on.
Nie byłam nigdy osobą, tak jak powiedziałam, nie byłam nigdy osobą roszczeniową i raczej zawsze prawda była dla mnie ważna. Mało kłamałam, daję słowo do dzisiejszego dnia. No, czasem trzeba dla dobra, mówię, ale i tą prawdę w jaki sposób trzeba podtrzymywać, no to w jaki. Nawet jak ja opowiadam i osoby, które to słuchają, to nigdy nie będą wiedziały, co ja chcę oddać, bo to trzeba samemu przeżyć, co nie życzę nikomu. Ta prawda już jest tak zamglona, to jest słowo puste już teraz. To się mówi, że tak było, ale mówi się prawdę, a jak to będzie przetworzone, no to... Ale coś zostanie, pani Wseniu. Nie coś, tylko bardzo dużo.
So, what I think she wanted to say, and what we also had in the discussion before, or in the presentation before, is like, you can speak about something that happened, but the person who will listen to it will never be able to really, never feel it. It's just a history. It's just words. It's the spoken word, and you will never be able to have experienced what she has experienced. But at the same time, she also says something will stay, and I think this is also very important, because I think a good story can really, by a good story, something that really touches you might even change cells inside your body or bring a new perspective. So something will stay from the stories we collect and from the stories we bring here, even if it's not possible to relive them. Now I was much quicker than expected. When I practiced, I was always 2 minutes too late. Now I'm 2 minutes too early. That's fine. So I will just invite you to watch the film online, and I'll be later in the Q&A if you have any more questions about production or how we collected the stories and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.